What's up, you guys? Good morning, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you are tuning in from. Welcome to the Better Humans podcast. This episode is episode 9. We're one episode away from our launch finale episode, which I'm so excited for. But this episode right here is where I got to sit down with Kevin Jacobson Jr. and Josh Collier and get to talk about all the things that make entrepreneurship suck. It's like, wait a second. But the things are all supposed to be good, and we're making better humans, and this should be like a good mission, right? Well, guess what? Entrepreneurship is the greatest form of, I believe it's the greatest form of personal development, which means that personally, you're gonna hit obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. And so inside of that lens and inside of that frame, you should be running into struggles. You should be running into things that would prohibit you or feel like prohibit you from moving forward. It's like we talked about in previous episodes, like with Miles Rubin. It's like the problem isn't the problem, it's your perception of the problem that's the problem, right? So with that lens and with that understanding, I'd love to go ahead and roll the tape on this episode 9 with Josh Collier and Kevin Jacobson Jr. I am guested on Entrepreneurship SUCKS podcast, and we have an amazing time. We just get to talk about all the things that have sucked, but also how you move past and overcome them. Let's roll the episode.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Entrepreneurship SUCKS podcast with Kevin and Josh. Today we are joined by Mr. Jimmy Allen. And Jimmy's been doing a bunch of fun stuff within the ClickFunnels community since the very start of ClickFunnels in 2014. He's the host of Better Humans podcast. He builds amazingly designed sales funnels that convert super amazing, like super good. And he is going to be a double dad soon with his second boy in June. Jimmy, how you doing today, man?
Dude, I'm so good. I'm really pumped to sit down and like chat with you guys. Like, obviously we're really good friends just because of like the proximity we've gotten into with like really high-end coaching programs, and then FHL only like elevated our friendship and experiences together. So I'm pumped. I'm here for it. Like, I'm ready to dive in. Let's get into it.
Let's go. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Bro.
We like to kick off every episode pretty much the same way. You were there from the inception of the whole concept of the podcast. So it's nothing new to you, even though this is your first time coming on. But I like to ask everybody that we have on the show, Entrepreneurship Sucks kind of, gets a different reaction from every guest that we have. So I'd like to hear their unique perspective on like, what does Entrepreneurship Sucks like mean to you?
Yeah. I know that like when I originally, or like when I first think of the idea that like entrepreneurship sucks, the very first thing my brain does is like weigh it or like evaluate that. Like, does it not suck? Like, compared to what? And I'm like, yeah, there's so many things like, dude, I'm still like coaching clients through really, really simple stuff, like building a list, or like, hey, message your clients. Yeah. My clients have trouble doing stuff like that. And it's like, why? Like, why is it like this? But overall, it's like, okay, well, compared to what? Like, I could I think back to like when I was a lifeguard. Like, I earned $8.25 an hour, and then I finally branched into entrepreneurship in like 2013, 2014. And so I'm like, okay, so I could have kept going down like a job, like a traditional 9-to-5, or maybe a traditional career, and like I would have been like my years would have been like made or lost based on like 1%, 2%, or 3% raises year over year and just stuff like that. It's like, wow, like I'm in a completely different paradigm. So like, is the new paradigm tough? Yeah, it's tough. Like, it's not easy. But like comparative to other paradigms that I could be in, like, it's actually pretty cool. It's actually really cool that I have the opportunity to just like create value and go give myself a raise whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Is that crazy?
That is crazy.
No, absolutely not. It's crazy, but no, it's not.
Yes and no, right?
Because you're in the
That's how it
driver's
should
seat.
be.
And that's kind of, what it comes down to, at least for us, man. Like, Entrepreneurship Sucks is a frame that we put around the tough shit that we go through as entrepreneurs and the growth and how we overcome it, and, you know, giving people a platform to share that so that it can help others on their journey. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mentioned earlier, before we hopped on, is like, you know, if you want to grow and you want to grow fast, you know, you can go on a spiritual journey. But 9 times out of 10, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, it's like the Scooby-Doo mask, like entrepreneurship, you take the mask off and there's a spiritual journey under there anyway. And so, you know, to become great at entrepreneurship, you have to tighten the gap on that feedback loop of like all your internal shit, right? To be able to reach the next level. So yeah, that's the main reason why I think this whole concept came about, is right, to be able to share a lot of the things that people don't like to talk about, right? Like, you know, we all like self-deprecate in our marketing because of the psychological elements of, you know, making yourself more human, and Russell's really good at that. The self-deprecation and humanizing himself. But at such a level of success, right, where he just feels so relatable. But, you know, the real tough shit, like the things that most people don't talk about, and like the real, like the hard struggles and how you made it out is really what we like to talk about. So bring us back, man. Like, you know, you went from being a lifeguard, like, and then what? Like, how did all this start for you? Like,
Okay.
How does a lifeguard like just?
Okay. So there's okay. At that point in time, there's 2 different kind of things that were going on. The first one is that, in my family was a guy who kind of like started working, like everyone knows Russell Brunson, but like not a lot of people know, because he's not really like the public face or anything like that. Todd Dickerson. So Todd Dickerson's in my family and in my like family sphere. And so around that time is actually when like I had a unique opportunity to go like work with Todd Dickerson, to go work with Russell Brunson, and go do this like internship, quote unquote, out in Boise, Idaho. So that like tripped me into digital marketing, into building websites and like web applications, learning to code, but also learning like the marketing side of things, like what actually triggers somebody to become a lead or to become a customer and to keep buying from you over and over and over again. Yeah. So that's one thing. But then there's another half here of like, yours, like, how did you get out of lifeguarding? So that's actually really interesting. As I was learning all of this digital marketing stuff and learning how to program at college, I had this guy who sat next to me. His name's Brian. And I got a text from Brian out of the blue, out of nowhere. And he texted me, he goes, "Bro, I need you to get to my apartment, like right now." And I was like, texting him back, I was like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on?
Oh, I remember you told me this story. I love it.
He goes, he was like, "Stop asking me questions. I just drive to my apartment. I need you to come here right now." And in my head, I'm like, do I need to get like a baseball bat? Do I need to get a gun? Like, is he in trouble? He's in danger. He needs like a friend to come help him. Why didn't he call the cops? Like, this is all the stuff that's going on in my head. And then finally I get there and he's just sitting down like across on the couch with his buddy Gabe and then his other buddy Eddie. And so we know from the digital marketing world, you've probably heard of like for media marketing, and then you've heard of Heman, and then there's like this merger, and then all of a sudden it became Bad Marketing. So a lot of people know Eddie Malouf from Bad Marketing, but I actually got introduced to Eddie Malouf before, like way before everything, through network marketing. And so my buddy texts me that he needs me to get over to his apartment because his other buddies, Gabe and Eddie, were launching a network marketing program on our college campus. And he was like, "Dude, you have to be a part of this, like on the ground floor. Like, you're already marketing minded. You're already like tech minded. You're very like forward in business and all this stuff. Like, you have to get in on this." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Let me just like get my adrenaline down really fast." And then like we talked and everything sounded really good and like numbers made sense and like the opportunity was really cool. And so I ended up like joining a network marketing program and like becoming pretty good friends with Eddie Malouf like very, very early on. So that's And you're like, how'd you get out of lifeguarding? Like, I stopped lifeguarding so I could go pursue network marketing and like digital marketing and ClickFunnels and stuff like that. So very long-winded answer there.
What year was that?
But, I want to say
like 2014.
2014. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
coincidentally, it's so crazy because coincidentally, that same network marketing company I joined in 2014, and that was 11 years before we even basically met each other. Well, 10 years before we even met each other. And that's exactly how my entrepreneurial journey started.
Network marketing.
So nuts. But the same company, the same year, and then to like connect 10 years later with a person whose journey started at the exact same place.
Bingo.
It's so crazy. All right. So I want to double back though. I want to hear like play by play how this, because a lot of people know the story of ClickFunnels because Russell tells it all the time. Like he's like, man, I was looking for somebody. I bought this company or this website, and I needed a Ruby on Rails, programmer, and that's ultimately how Todd had like messaged him back, and he's like, hey, I did a bunch of cool, I fixed what you needed, and I did a bunch of other cool stuff. And, he tells the story about how they met. But, like, you were there, right? For, like, that entire story. So, like, it's like, it's like the spin-offs of, like, when they do, like, prequels to TV shows. I want to hear your, like, prequel origin story from the perspective of the story everybody already knows. But from your point of view. That's so, I've been waiting so long to hear that story.
Yeah.
A great question.
Okay. So it all happened like very, very similar to exactly like literally how Russell tells it. I'd say that like for me, the thing that how I arrived on the scene, not just because I was like in proximity to Todd, but like because I was watching Todd do things like have like a really cool computer that was like not just like for work, but also like a huge like gaming setup, right? Triple monitors. We were like playing a bunch of like video games together all the time. And I was like, I don't know, there's something in my head that was like, Todd's got something figured out that like, I feel like not a lot of people have figured out. Like doesn't go clock into a job, like, but he gets a bunch of money. He like lives off of this.
This is like you're in high school, right? When this is going on, like you're graduating and about to go to college, right?
Yeah, like 16, 17, 18 years old. I'm like watching how this is like happening. He's like, he buys and sells all these Supras. So he's like driving really cool cars and like working on the internet. And he's like living this like different life than anything I've really been exposed to. Like the town that we all grew up in here, it was cows, pastures, pine trees, like it wasn't anything crazy. And so he's living like a different lifestyle. And I know that it's because of what he does on the computer. So it kind of gets my gears kind of like oriented where like, okay, well, maybe I need to do something like on the computer. Fast forward to, I graduate high school. I've already worked on a couple of like programs and like did some like programming with Todd. And I'm going to go to college for computer science. This summer, like in between, I'm literally just like sitting on the couch, eating chips, hanging out with my girlfriend or the girlfriend at the time, and like playing video games. Like that's it. I'm not really doing anything. But Todd taps me on the shoulder and is basically like, hey, I'm going out to Boise, Idaho for a few weeks, and you want to come out and like, I don't know, learn how to build more websites, do more like web development stuff, and maybe like learn some marketing stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure. When are we going? And he's like, tomorrow. And I went, like, oh, crap. Okay, so I went to codeschool.com. I downloaded every single PowerPoint slide on HTML, JavaScript, CSS, like all the front-end languages. So I was like, so I could like make stuff pretty. Like I got to make it look good. And then on the flight across, I have like the server, like the local server running, and it's like the green like matrix letters like flying up and down the screen. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure people are like think I'm hacking the plane or something like that. Like this is kind of terrifying.
And so for everybody that doesn't know, just like timeline wise, like is this the first time that Todd and Russell are going to meet in real life?
No, this is this is probably the second or third,
Okay.
right? Because they worked on stuff together. They even like started a few businesses together.
Okay.
But it's on the tail end of this long visit that they kind of agree that like, okay, we need to do this ClickFunnels thing.
Yeah. Okay.
The reason why they ended up doing this ClickFunnels thing is because like Todd kept launching offer after offer after offer with Russell, finally to the point where it was like, hey, why don't I just like build you the tool that lets you kind of like build the pages yourself, like, but not just build the page, but like how can we build it so it like processes the order, or like hosts the webinar, or like all does the fulfillment, all that stuff. So it was on the tail end of this that like ClickFunnels started coming on the scene. So we leave from this 3-week thing, and Todd goes home and goes heads down, like 6 months. He's like heads down. I go off and I keep doing my college thing, but it's kind of like in that period of time where he gets it to the point where it's like kind of near the beta launch, and he's like, hey, I've got like these like page templates. They're like, okay, can you come in and like make them better? So the very first thing I ever did to help contribute towards ClickFunnels and like the big mission and the idea here of unshackling entrepreneurs from technical restraints was making pretty templates for people to use. Like, but I had to go in and like help write some of the HTML and the CSS and the data IDs and different stuff like that. But yeah, and then after that it was,
so
okay,
wait, what did you do while you were out there for the 3 weeks, so I can understand, like, because I don't even know, like, there is no ClickFunnels headquarters, right? So like, where'd you guys go? Like,
so Russell's previous
because we've all
company,
seen like in Russell's like, you know, presentations and stuff, like he shows like pictures of him and Todd and stuff like that. So I want to like paint a visual of like where you guys are, what, like, is he in a tap out t-shirt, like
literally, yes. So I'm pretty sure it's like a dental office now.
Okay.
But before it was this little like office suite, like you would see just off the side of the highway. There's a little office park and stuff. There's a little office suite, and his company was called Success Etc. And Success Etc. was essentially like online like internet marketing, digital training. That's what they sold. So inside of that office is pretty much where we all sat down, and like there's whiteboards everywhere. And like when I originally went out there, I thought I was going to go like work at an office, think like Xerox, cubicles, like all that kind of stuff. But I get out there, like I'm dressed in like a button down and some slacks and some shoes, and like, you know, like, cause I think I'm going to an office. But Russell's out there in like a tap out shirt and some like cargo shorts, and his flip flops are at the door because he's been running around barefoot everywhere. And that really like opened my eyes that like not just like being able to watch Todd and like Todd operate the way he does, but then watch Russell operate the way that he does. And it's all like, this is all like a different paradigm. This isn't what I expected it to be. So obviously I get to undo a couple of buttons and maybe like kick my shoes off at the door too. And yeah, I pretty much go out there to just like keep practicing and figure stuff out.
And what were you guys
One
there
of the
to
weird
accomplish
things that I ran into,
weeks, just so I'm clear?
I think Todd and Russell had an offer that they were working on.
Okay.
And I actually remember specifically, like there was 1 week when we were out there, like we got there and like just hang out, just like build some stuff. And then the second week he was doing a launch, and he launched the affiliate evolution offer, which all I really saw on my end from what I can comprehend and remember is it was this $7 front end affiliate training offer that I'm pretty sure like gave people the opportunity to resell one of his other programs, .com Secrets Local, which was a monthly continuity program. So he launched this offer, and it goes out to the list, but he's like clacking away on his keyboard, and all of a sudden he like hits a key and he's like, okay, email's going out. And I was like, why are like, you just announced to the entire room. Why is that a huge
announcement? Yeah.
Literally,
to you, in your paradigm, you're like, okay, you sent an email. Great job.
Literally, that is the exact thing going through my head. I'm like, why? Like, I send emails all the time, dude. Why is this a big deal?
Yeah.
And it's not like until like an hour, maybe 2 hours later that he goes, we just passed 40K. And I froze. And I was like, 40K what? And he goes, $40,000. And remember earlier when I was like, hey, we came from the place where there's cows and pastures and chickens and pine trees and all that stuff. Like, you worked an entire year to earn $40,000. And this guy just did it like it was a Tuesday or something like that in the morning. And he did it. And I was like,
yeah. And right there, your mind just exploded and expanded, and there was no turning back.
From that point forward, there's no turning back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Dude, cool. That story is like, that is my like reckoning of like, I can't have a normal life anymore. Like I pretty much, that story like red pilled me into being like, you have to do digital marketing. You have to do entrepreneurship. It's going to suck along the way, but you have to, like, there's no other way.
It's so crazy actually, now that you mentioned like what the offer was too, right? Because like they just announced Offer Lab, and it's like that kind of was the inception of that before the technology was there, right? Because it's like affiliate based, stuff.
Dude, I'm burning with the question because I have a major disconnect happening right now. All right, so after hearing that story, and not sure how much you want to share, but I'm really just curious. So you said the disconnect is this: it is from being a lifeguard to getting involved in the internet, like you got recruited essentially, and then now you're related to Todd Dickerson. And so the bridge between like you being recruited into the network marketing company and then being related to Todd Dickerson, was it because of like your one of yours, like your sibling, or was it the fact that you were just in that world and you met Todd, and like how did that come about?
Yeah,
like,
no. So he married into my family, or my family married into his family, I guess. No. He's my brother-in-law, right? So he is married to my sister, and so I've actually like known Todd for a really long time, like all the way back. Like I'm pretty sure that like I was 11. I was in his wedding. Like I was.
Did you introduce your sister to Todd?
All the ClickFunnels stuff. No, this is way before all the ClickFunnels stuff, Joshua.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Todd's been in like we've been all family for longer than all of that, but like like
it was because of him that you got into more so into the ClickFunnels stuff.
Yeah, like I would say like not even just like ClickFunnels, but you can like see and recognize that somebody's living a different lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And even with Russell, like those two people got together, and it's like, okay, these two guys can like live differently than everything I see around me. I'm looking at like friends' parents who like, dude, they wake up at like 5 a.m. and they drive down to the UPS headquarters, like an hour and a half of traffic away. And like they're up at 5 and out of the house, and then they get home at 7 and they're like slamming Wendy's, going to bed. And it's like, you don't have a life. You have your job and your commute, and then you like barely see your kids. And I'm like, that's bad. But I see them and they're like traveling and like family focused, like family centered, and like Russell's got a huge family, and ironically now Todd has a relatively big family. He's got a few girls, and so it's like it's like you look at like the fruits of what they're producing, and then you just choose to become a seed after that own kind, so that you can reproduce the same things. Or like in internet marketing, we call it follow the piles of money, right? Like if you want to make a bunch of money, go find someone who's got a giant pile of money and go do what they do. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. Same way. I was like, they're doing it differently. How can I do it like them?
Yep. So you mentioned network marketing 101. You mentioned you were out there for like 3 weeks, right? And then you came back, and then you said Todd was like heads down for the next 6 months. So what were you doing throughout those 6 months? Were you like watching and observing and going back and forth to school? Like when did you go like, I'm 10 toes down, I'm all in on this thing? When did that moment happen for you? And like what was that?
It probably wouldn't happen until another like couple of years.
Okay.
Because I only completed 3 of my 4 years at university for my bachelor's. I didn't graduate because by the time that I was like working with Todd and Russell on the ClickFunnels stuff in combination with going out and like helping clients and like helping build funnels, I was earning more money than my professors were.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, there's this rule that if I want to follow the piles of money or like become successful, I have to go model successful people. And the people I'm actively learning from right now are like these university professors that they teach, but they don't do, right?
Mhm.
And it's funny. I actually did, I flipped college on its head, because in order to like get the degree, it's like usually you show up and you do like your general education classes, you do your PE and health, you probably take like a psychology or a sociology class. So you're a well-rounded student and like all this stuff. And I just like, all of that made me wanted to vomit. I couldn't stand the thought or the idea of it. So my first 2 years were all like, how many calculus classes can I take? How many computer programming classes can I take? Like, I like loaded down on all of
Yeah,
the,
you're
like,
trying to
core...
accelerate the learning curve on the things that are important to you, so that if you do need to exit, you get the most out of it. Is that what you're trying to do? Yeah.
So yes, so basically enter year 3 and the counselor's like, hey, you didn't do any of your general education stuff. Like, if you're going to graduate, you have to go back and do all this stuff. And I was like, oh, shoot me. I'm literally in a sociology class. And this is why me and like typical education don't get along so well. I'm in a sociology class and I literally counted off that like the entire lesson was like talking about 5 or 6 like complaints about like the way that the world is, or the way that nation states are, or the way that society is. And it's like all these problems and like literally just like vomiting complaint after complaint after complaint, but no solution, like no practical solution or like advice or guidance of like, okay, we'll behave differently so that like, so that humanity can get better. It was literally just a class full of complaints. And I was like, I don't belong here. Like, this isn't it. Like, I can't be in here. Because as an entrepreneur, when I hear problems, I assume ownership of that problem, so I can go out and make a difference and make a change in the world. So I can't just sit here and like listen to you guys complain without coming up with solutions about how I'm going to go out and fix the world.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
so
dude, that's
when I dropped out.
That's beautiful, bro. That's so like I like that you can bring it down to a specific moment that you were like, I'm opting out of this system.
Yep.
Yeah. That reminds me of a story I heard it. Oddly enough, all of us got our entrepreneurial journey started in network marketing, which is, I think, is kind of funny. And I remember hearing a story, you know, they had these big conferences, kind of like FHL. And there's a story of a top earner, like a fast riser type person in the organization. And they got to a point inside of the conference that they were like, it was kind of how I felt at FHL. Like after day 1, I was like, I am good. I can go on my way and I know exactly what I need to do. But like they left the conference early and nobody knew where they were going. And like there's part of a team, whatever. And like they went out and then they just started implementing everything that they heard in the last session. And they were like, massive problem, massive action, massive opportunity. They went on to like make hundreds of thousands of dollars, like, and broke some kind of record because that was all they needed. Just like solve a problem. Somebody gave them permission or something switched inside of them. And they, like Kevin calls it, catching the bug. Right. You know, so dude, I love that story so much. I didn't know that about you, but I want to dig a little deeper into what happened after that.
Oh, man. Okay. So I dropped out of college and I basically, I pissed off my entire family. Like my parents,
as we all do,
were pissed. My grandmother was like, the hell you are dropping. she didn't exactly say that.
I met your mom when we were leaving the hotel, so I could imagine, because the conversation I had with your mom, as soon as her antennas heard me talking to Todd about we were rooming with you, she goes, "Oh, you stay with my Jimmy? Was he a good boy?" I was like, "Yes, he was a very good boy." So like I could tell, dude. Like
yeah.
Doesn't like that story.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just it's funny, like growing up, like all my friends, like you could make jokes or whatever, like your mom jokes and stuff like that, but like no one made your mom jokes about my mom.
Yeah, because she's like, you could tell she's like the sweetest, but she'll she'll get on your ass too.
They're all terrified of her, and so
Yep.
she has this. It's so funny because we talk about like, oh, pull out, like you got a problem, pull out your American Express card, and she gets a knife. She's like, I pull out my Mexican Express card.
Oh my God.
It's like she's gonna stab you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
No, dude, my mom's crazy, like in the best way. Yeah, so I drop out, and I have to keep working, right? Because it's like, okay, if I'm not going to school, then I'm like pushing and pursuing this career. And so basically that's kind of about the point where I got into some serious like like product work with ClickFunnels. And so it shifted me out of like, because before I did a bunch of training, actually, ironically, there was the original certification program that ClickFunnels did. I helped like build it, and we like it was a $10,000 program, and it was huge. It was multiple millions of dollars per year in revenue to ClickFunnels, and I was teaching everybody exactly like the way that I was going out. Like I landed clients. These are the contract or the agreements I used. Yeah. It was the same agency SOPs, the deliverables. Like if you sold a funnel, like this is the package that you use. Like, okay, cool. Now you have everything you need. Go out and like serve all of the ClickFunnels audience and like your local audience and stuff, and like help build funnels, help convert leads into sales and all this stuff. But probably about that time is when I went through a bit of a shift where I like got more into the software side. And so I started like doing product management, working with design teams, working with development teams in order to help build the software better for our customers. I'm trying to think if there was anything else kind of like significant going on there. I started getting way more into that career-wise, which made all of the agency stuff go really passive for a period of time. And it wasn't until probably like last year that I was like, I only took deals that like fell in my lap. Basically, someone showed up and they're like, "Hey, I see ClickFunnels. I'm all bought in on the vision. I understand, but like I either like I don't have time or like my staff isn't like trained up. Can you just come in and like build it for me?" So I would have deals like that land in my lap all the time. And I always wanted to just be super helpful. I never really wanted to charge an arm and a leg for it. So I would help people for like $1,500 and like do their funnels, or like $2,000. I remember like, yeah, just severely like underselling myself, or like undercharging,
undervaluing your expertise, right? Like some of those funnels went on to make millions, tens of millions, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. It's like line item by line item, like whose funnels and stuff. Yeah, they definitely did.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So the agency kind of took a back burner. What was, I mean, we're talking about like a 7-8 year time frame here. So I don't want to jump ahead too quickly, but, teetering back and forth between the project management and you had such an entrepreneur role at ClickFunnels for such a long time, right? And we haven't really tapped into like some of the stuff along the way that may have, been like entrepreneurship sucks, right? Like, so like throughout that process of like, undervaluing yourself, but you're also involved in a massive, development of what turned out to be an amazing company with an amazing tribe of people. And, a following and a movement unlike anything really, right? Fortunately and unfortunately enough, this was the last Funnel Hacking Live. And I remember when I got my perfect webinar package in the mail back in like 2015. And I like started kind of, because see, I was in the e-commerce and Instagram marketing space for the whole, like when ClickFunnels was going from like the perfect webinar stuff in the mail and then to like, different levels when like first 2 comma club award, first 2 comma 10x, then we started seeing 25, 50x, 100x awards and everything. Because I was in a different space, I just watched it from like a consumer's perspective, just because I'm like, I want to be a part of this tribe, but it's not for what I do yet. And I remember when I built my first funnel in like 2018, 19, because I wanted to take what was my winning product in my e-commerce store and have like order bumps and stuff like that, stuff that just wasn't possible in Shopify. And I was like trying to piece things together that just weren't there yet. And I just kind of gave up, but I was like, I want to be in this world so bad, but it's not my world right now. So, finally here we are, and, the last Funnel Hacking Live, and it was everything that I thought it was going to be. But along the way, like, what were like the tough points for you where, like you said, you were undervaluing yourself. You do see along the way in your entrepreneurial role in ClickFunnels, you've seen, like, I mean, you and I have hopped on Zoom where you're in the office and all the 2 Comma Club awards are behind you. Like, how was that for you? Like, that I would assume it was like a bit like an internal battle, right? Because you had the agency stuff on the side and you were undervaluing yourself, but you're like millionaire after millionaire after millionaire, just like while you're eating lunch. Right?
Oh, Kevin.
I love pulling out the tough shit, man.
What a gut punch.
Damn.
That
shit, I didn't even see that coming.
That was a real thing. Like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially knowing full well that I was like capable of doing that, which, like, fortunately now this year, like I'm aligned and partnered with somebody who we hit the 2 Comma Club in 2024, literally doubled his revenue from 500K in 2023 returns, and now he closed 2024 at 1.1 mil ARR, and so we were like, boom, 2 Comma Club, baby. Love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a large portion of that thanks to your help. So let's give it up for Jimmy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But that, like, I didn't do anything special. I just did the things that I've known how to do probably for like the last decade. Right. So now it's like, man, I was capable of that the whole time. So why didn't I do it?
And the reason I'm able to see that and ask that is because I was on a similar path. Like, so that's why I recognized that and wanted to know like what that felt like and how you were able to like finally overcome it, right? Because that's what we really want to get to.
I think that the conversation that was happening in my head for a lot of that period of time is that I'm here to serve. I'm in service to these entrepreneurs. And my goal and my mission, you mentioned like entrepreneurial, or like I'll even say like internally to the movement is in service. That means that like I essentially position myself here to everybody else, instead of like I could like a way that could have happened. Just the conversation never happened in my head is like we could have joined arms and gone up together. But it's like, no, I'm going to lift you up on the pedestal because like you're the customer, you're the one who shines, not me, right? And like, and so I think the dialogue in my head for years at that point where it's like, this is for you, this isn't for me. And it wasn't until I finally like, because I'm pretty sure that I was like, I was either filing taxes or I was like renewing, like, you know how the IRS every year is like in big red letters, like you need to renew this LLC if you're going to keep doing it. And I was like,
yeah, annual filing bullcrap that I always forget to do.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, it was March, March, April. Yeah. So like it was tax time. And I was like, am I going to keep doing this? Like, it's been 7 or 8 years. Like, why am I doing this? And that was finally about the time where I was like, yeah, if I'm going to keep doing this, like, I'm going to take it really, really serious. Like, I'm going to take it like serious to the level where it's like, I could even get a 2 Comma Club award for myself. Like that's how big I wanted to play. Because the alternative was like, okay, I just like kill it off and like don't make any extra money. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. Like I don't want to make less money. I want to make more money, right? That's business. Number go up. So yeah, last year was when like I was looking around like, okay, other people can do this. The technology has changed so much. Like there's all like literally, I'm going to coin you guys' business and offer like leveraging AI. Like, oh, I can leverage AI to do a bunch of stuff, right? So I don't need giant teams. I don't need to scale. I just need like the right customer and the right offer and like get them going where they're going, and I can reap the benefits along the way. So yeah, that's when everything changed, was because like I had been passive for so long that I was like, okay, it's not just for them anymore. Like it can be for me too. Let's go do it. Let's accomplish it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
And what I will say about that though is, because you're such an amazing person and because you're such a servant in everything that you put your mind to, just from a spiritual level, like God, the universe, like demands balance, and that pendulum is swung so far for you in servitude that there's a lot of abundance and reciprocity waiting on the other side for you now that you've made that decision. And I'm excited to like just be here as your friend and watch you reap the rewards of all the servitude that you have now that I know and understand that you've put out there.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty cool.
Dude, thanks.
So there is one thing that I wanted to talk about that's like kind of shifting gears, but staying within like this time frame, and then we'll get to where things are now and where you want to go, because that's equally as important. You know, you've alluded to it, and I've seen like pictures and stuff, like you mentioned it kind of in passing, but like you almost died, right? You like crashed your bike pretty hard, right? I want to talk about that because I'll tell you what, you know, just again, when we're talking about like, you know, alignments and like similarities on our entrepreneurial journey, man, what kicked off my entrepreneurial journey personally was not the opportunity of the network marketing thing. That came as a result of what actually happened. And what actually happened is in 2012, I was working for a liquor distributor doing sales, and my wife and I had gone to a wedding. And after the wedding, we were visiting some friends, and I ended up crossing the street and getting hit by a car going like 40 miles an hour, and like smashed his windshield with the side of my head and like did a misty flip up in the air. It was like X Games, like 10 out of 10. It was a pretty dope flip. And then I just landed on the ground behind the car. Like he hit me so hard, I didn't even hit the car besides the windshield and like my legs against the bumper. I was just up in the air and then just landed on the ground after it was already gone. And just like legs all mangled in the wrong direction and shit. And this happened literally right in front of my wife, like 5 feet away. She was standing on the sidewalk. Her and a close friend of ours watched this happen. And then, you know, I woke up like, you know, I don't know, maybe 6-8 hours later in the hospital. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Right. They're like, you got hit by a car. Like, I'm like, all right, well, I gotta piss. Like, am I good? Like, can I get up? Like, they're like, no. Like, let us get the nurse. And I'm like, is anything broken? They're like, no, but like, you just got hit by a car, like going really fast. Like, you need to like, just let us get the nurse. I'm like, nah, dude, I need to know if I can stand up and still like piss like a man. So it was the most pathetic like trip, this little 3-foot trip to the bathroom, like hanging on to the bed rail, and like, but I made it, and I needed to prove to myself that I was okay. So I knew what I mentally had to face coming out of this, right?
There's a funny story about that. I'm pretty sure that is like an evolutionary / survival like thing when people get into like really harsh accidents and their bodies get flooded with that adrenaline. That's like a fight or flight thing. Like you're injured, you're doing pretty bad, and your body's like flight, like get to safety. Like, because when I got hit, I was down on the ground, on the asphalt, and they like lift my visor because I'm on a motorcycle, right? So they lift the visor from my helmet, and I'm like, the whole time I'm just like trying to like get up and like trying to move, and everyone's yelling at me like 4 times. They're like, stay on the ground, stay on the ground, stay on the ground. But the entire time your body's like, I got to get up and move. I have to move. I have to leave. I have to go. So I don't know, like someone with way more degrees or like way more science can probably tell us like what that actually is.
Yeah, we just know what we
It's
felt.
like, am I okay? It's like just your brain trying to figure out, am I okay? You know?
No.
Like, it's like
it's
like the tendency to push your body towards how painful things are, like your threshold of your pain. Just be like, how bad is bad? Like, how bad does entrepreneurship suck? Sometimes we want to push the limits to see how bad it sucks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't as much traumatizing for me as it was for my wife and our friend that was there.
Can you imagine, bro?
Dude, like for my wife, at least she got to go home with me and like know that I was okay but our friend, her name's Alona, and she was about, I'd say the next day, right? So like 24 hours after it happened, she like called me and she's like, babe, I'm freaking out. Are you okay? Like, I can't stop. Like, I can't get this picture out of my head. And she was a hairdresser for like maybe 10, 15 years leading up to that. At that moment, like over the course of the next 30 days, she quit her job as a hairdresser and enrolled in nursing school. She's like freaking out because she's like, I never want to be in a situation where someone, whether I know them and care about them or anyone for that matter, is ever going through something like that. And I feel helpless to not be able to do anything for them. And that she's still a nurse to this day. That was 2012.
Wow.
You inspired somebody to do a career shift just by getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
Good job, Kevin.
And so, I got fired from the liquor distributor I was working for because of my recovery time. They were like, I had just started working for them. I just switched out of the sales career I was in to liquor distribution. And they're like, well, we don't want to wait around. Like, you just started here. We don't even know if you're that good. So we're just going to replace you. Right. So here I am.
That's illegal, right? Like, isn't there's like a law against that?
Yeah. So there was a whole like, the person who hit me was a cop, by the way, an undercover cop. And, that's a whole nother story. And like the shit that they did to like get the footage and cover up and like give me the run around. I couldn't get the police report, the footage all of a sudden, like the girl that owned the restaurant that we were going to hang out at after hours where I got hit in front of, she called me. She's like, hey, I got the, the DVD for the footage so you can use it for your case or whatever. She's like, I'm going to leave it on the desk in the office. I'm off tomorrow, but come in and get it whenever you want it. It's right here. It's in a safe place, whatever. Right. She's like, I set it aside. Well, the day that I went to go get it was like maybe 3-4 days later. And she's like, it's gone. I can't find it. She's like asking everybody that works there. They're like, oh yeah, the officers came in and they said they needed it for their police report. So I went to the police department and they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. What footage? Yeah.
Bro.
And the EMTs told my wife that 6 other people got hit. 6 other pedestrians got hit that night in like a 10-block radius. So he's just literally driving around, like running people over for fun or whatever the hell. Nuts.
Dude, that's wild.
That started my entrepreneurial journey, man. God put me in that position, and I didn't have any broken bones. I fully recovered. But he's like, okay, you've been talking about being an entrepreneur since 2007 through your sales career. Now it's 2012, and you need to, like, I'm going to push you forward because you haven't taken that leap yet. And this is the path that I set you on, and you're bullshitting around. So here you go. Woof, shove right in front of a car.
So it's really interesting because, like, God doesn't send cars to hit Kevin. I think free people drive their cars and hit Kevin. But I also think that, like, God works on your heart. I think God works, like, here, not like out there. So yeah, I like, because I've thought about this for myself too, that like stemming from that accident, it actually pushed me to do a lot of things, like do some really, like, not just like recover like my capability to move my shoulder or like lift my arm straight up in the air. But I had this
more
forward-facing
urgency.
vision.
more urgency on the expansion of what you're capable of while you're here. Am I right? Because that's
the urgency for me was like, the longer I put this off to quote unquote recover or like get myself better, the more difficult or like slightly more impossible is the wrong word, but like not very likely that you're going to get full mobility back the longer you put this off. So it did like, I pushed really, really hard. Like I went to PT, which by the way, just like so everyone knows and can follow along. I went down on the motorcycle because some guy crossed my path as I was going through a green light. The guy was like 70 years old and the sun had just gone down. So says he didn't see me. He also says he had the green arrow. He did not have a green arrow. He had a blinking yellow, which means like, hey, if someone's coming, don't pull out in front of them. You know, that's wild and crazy. But yeah, so he cut me off. I ditched the bike and like fly off onto the ground, but the bike hits the right rear of the truck bed and like basically like explodes. Not like in fire, but just like parts, parts everywhere.
Just bike shrapnel.
Yeah. So basically in the process of it was a 2014 or 2016 Yamaha Bolt. It's the competitor to Harley's 883 iron, the Iron 883.
Have you not rode since? I would assume somebody in your life made you make a promise. That's my feeling about it.
You remember how I have like family members with really strong opinions? These are some of the opinions of my really strongly opinionated family members.
Yeah, my father made me promise him. He's like, you be whoever you want to be in life. I'm proud of you for whatever you do. I want one promise from you. Never get a motorcycle. So I did. I just kept that promise throughout my whole life, no matter how bad I wanted one. And believe me, I did. Yeah.
It's I miss it. I miss it so much sometimes. Especially because like dude, even right now it's March and it's the change of the year. And it's like, oh, it was 70 something degrees out the other day. And I saw everybody and their mother out on their bike.
You know what the semi-replacement to that is? Buy a convertible. I used to have a convertible Volvo, and that was as close as I was going to get. I miss having a convertible. I have too many kids to have one right now, unless I get a Panamera and like custom chop the top.
Yeah.
They don't make sedan convertibles like they did back in like, I got to get a classic, I guess. I'll get like an old Lincoln or something.
What do they do? The Chrysler Sebring used to be a convertible or something like that.
Do I look like a Sebring driver?
Michael Scott was.
Oh man, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Dude, yeah, I don't remember where I was at.
But yeah, so
good.
You were going hard on the PT to recover.
Yeah, but also I really, really wanted to like, quote unquote, get back to normal and not just like, because like I was at a point where it was immobile. I couldn't get it like over my head. PT got it up over my head again. And then working with like my personal trainer helped me develop like strength and mobility. And so I basically was like, okay, I want to get strong again, because I had been like bedridden for 6 months and like just doing PT, not really being active. So I was like, my hair was out everywhere, this giant beard and like long flowing
20s?
hair. No, yeah, 27, right? Because I'm 30 now, and the accident was 3 years ago. Yeah, 27. So I decided that I was going to do a challenge. I was like, I'm going to do the 1,000-pound challenge. I'm pretty sure like Rogue puts it on, but basically I was like, between my back squat, my bench press, and my deadlift, all three of those weights need to add up to 1,000 pounds, which was actually kind of a stretch for me. So like, I worked really, really hard to get to the point where I could do a 405 deadlift. And that actually, like, you'd be surprised, like you need like really tight core, tight shoulders, like tighten back. And then like your arm has to support 405 pounds coming up off of the ground. Right. And then the bench press is really obvious because it's your arms, but then like even the back squat, because of the core and the locking that you need to do in order to help facilitate that, and the arm needing to go rotate externally, which it still like doesn't want to do it. It pushed me in all the different facets, and so I completed the 1,000-pound challenge. It was tough, but like we got there, and it took a period of time, and like I had to reconcile with this idea that like, hey, like I did this thing, but I'm still not 100% better. It still like does like weird like pops and like clicks and stuff like that. So now I'm in this like this new normal. Like I thought I was going to return to normal, but I'm it's not the old normal. I'm like in this new normal.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of like identity. I'm sorry.
Were you married already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife had a similar, not exactly similar experience to like what your wife experienced. Like I couldn't imagine like if my wife was actually there to see me go down on the motorcycle, that would be awful. But she was like 15 minutes south she was literally leaving a women's Bible study at a church. She was on her way up the interstate to go through the interstate like merge ramp or like the bridge and stuff where I had just been hit. So she gets a call, and it's like some like straight, it's my number, right? Because the dude like took my phone out of my pocket and was like, "Hey man, what's your passcode?" And I told him my passcode, and he's like, "Okay, who am I calling?" And I said, "Call Elizabeth Savage." That was her name at the time. And so he does.
That was his last name.
Oh, okay, all right. You know what? Everyone says that. They're always like, well, you should use her last name.
Her last name.
Yeah, everyone says
Alan versus Savage.
Yeah. But then, like, I would be Jimmy Savage. And doesn't that sound like that guy, like, turns wrenches in a garage? Like, he's got motor oil coming out of his ears and stuff. Like, hey, Jimmy Savage, he's gonna change your alternator. Like, I don't know. Whatever. So she gets a phone call, and some dude, he's like, hey, like, Jimmy's okay.
You know what's
like,
funny?
He guesses.
Jimmy
he's on the
Savage
ground.
is your alter ego in that blue freaking velvet jacket. That's Jimmy Savage. That's it. From now on, that is Jimmy Savage. We talked about like Bart and his the alter ego that he talks about and everything. Jimmy Savage is your alter ego, dude. In the blue linen. The blue velvet.
I don't know if I'm stamping this for approval, but
nope, it's trademarked already.
I'll
just like our
entertain it
smirk
for now.
emoji.
The smirk emoji, that's trademark. That shit needs to be trademarked.
Yeah,
like,
that's our alter ego too.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But yeah, so she gets the call. My bad.
No, she basically gets the call, and she's like, okay, I'm coming up the interstate, and she's her gas tank is on empty. So before she can get to me to go see, like, my husband's like on the side of the road hit on his motorcycle, she has to stop at an exit and go pump gas.
Get gas, dude. That's rough.
Dude, so she ends up calling another buddy of mine who lives like literally 2 minutes away from where I got hit.
Do you pump gas for her now? So she doesn't have to go through revisit that moment every time she needs to go to the gas station.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'll try my best to keep the gas tank full all the time now, because like you never know. You never know like what emergency is going to happen or what. So yeah, I do try my best to do that. But that is, dude, she had to drive up the interstate, had to stop to go pump gas to go up there. Yeah. And she pulls up, and the officer's like, hey, like, what the do you think that you're doing? And she rolls her window down, and she goes, that's my husband. And then the officer's like, oh crap, yeah, no, never mind, you go. And she like drove and pulled up, and yeah, it was wild and crazy, but she didn't have to witness it, at least. Dude, I feel so badly for your wife. Like, I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, it was rough. I don't cross streets with her anymore unless I'm holding her hand.
Why? So you can take her with you?
No, dude, she's on the other side. You know, the whole gentleman, like, make sure she's on the side where she can't get hit type of thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
She's my guardian angel, though. If she was there, I probably wouldn't have gotten hit if she was actually right there with me. But dude, so what changed in you? Like, I know for me, like, it unlocked something in me, right? I was like, okay, new sense of urgency. And, you know, mind you, I was in my 20s when it happened too. So like, it kind of gave me this, this renewed, almost like arrogance of being bulletproof, which served me well in some ways, and needed to be humbled in other ways further down the road. But it definitely I definitely had some like 50 Cent playing in the back of my head for a good year or two. Like,
Oh my God. No, I don't think that I went through a period like that. I definitely was. I'm pretty sure like the entire time I was just like, I need to fix myself so I can be normal again. Like that's pretty much the only message that was going on in my head was get better, fix yourself, like be normal, be strong. Actually, there was a vision that I had in my head that I refused. And like, dude, I went through some like shoulder, hip, and then I'm pretty sure like knee and ankle, like those joints are some of the worst like excruciating PT that you can go through. And for the shoulder, it's like, I had a point where like I was doing this like one PT exercise where I needed to like stretch and elongate it like this way. And like, it was so bad, I almost like blacked out. I was like shaking. I was sweating from stretching, which is just insane. But I had this vision in my head that I was going to have a boy. And I knew that I was going to be able to lift that kid above my head. And so even today, I'll pick him up and I'll like throw him. I'll do it like 30 times. I'll just do this over and over and over and over. And he loves it. He's like, this is amazing. He's having so much fun. He's only a year and a half, so he doesn't say anything. He just gets really excited. But still, I'm just like, every time I do that, I'm remembering that like there was a point where I was like, I couldn't do this. Which anyone who's like listening on Apple, like they can't see me. I'm lifting both my arms above my head, but like there was a point where I couldn't do that, and I saw that like I'm gonna have a son. I'm gonna lift him over my head because that's what you do for your boys.
I know we're already having a lot of fun with him in the past year and a half, but dude, I'll tell you, I think my entrepreneurial journey started. So my son was 3 in 2012 when all this started, right? So, there's just a good like decade and some change that, and I know how you are with your work-life balance. Like, I was just listening to your podcast with Sarah yesterday, kind of preparing for this just to, see how your interview style and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And she was talking about how, you hop on meetings with your son on your chest and everything. Like, dude, the fulfillment of my entrepreneurial journey from a business and success perspective is one thing, but looking back, my son's 16, right? And now every Sunday I take him to the high school. And he just drives my car for like a couple hours with me in the passenger seat, learning how to park, learning how to K-turn, all this cool stuff, right? And I just look back on like the highlight reel of like thousands of hours that I got to spend with him because I made this decision, right? And like, you have so much fun ahead of you, especially with boys. Like, I love my daughters. Like, I got twin 5-year-old girls, and it's a totally different relationship. But from, father-daughter's more like nurture, protect, father-son is like, dude, every day when he got home from school, we'd like, when we lived in the town we used to live in, just like walk down to the river. And every day he'd be like 5 years old. And we'd sing a song on our way down to the river, like adventures, like we're going on adventures every day. And like, dude, you have so much fun ahead of you, especially the way that you balance your life. And with now you're going to have 2 boys. So, yeah, man, looking forward to seeing all that.
Dude, I can't wait. I literally, I need this second boy to be here. So, because it's not dread. Dread is the wrong word, but it's that like, I know that like, it was such a paradigm shift to go from 0 to 1 child. Mm-hmm. And now I'm about to go from 1 to 2. And I know that like everyone tells me it's like, okay, that's another paradigm shift. 2 to 3 is another paradigm shift where you have to go from man to man. Now you're doing zone coverage. And it's like,
yeah, I like that. Man to man to zone coverage. I like it.
Yeah. But I'm sitting here like waiting, like the baby's cooking in the oven. And it's like, can it be done cooking already? So I can go ahead and go through this transformation because it's not going to get any easier. It might as well just like come now, but no, it's okay. I'll take the easy that I have now and remind myself that like it's easy now. It's going to get way harder. It's going to get way harder. So,
Yeah,
dude.
A whole bunch of stuff that I can't relate to yet.
That's all right. We'll get off this subject. We'll move on.
No,
all right, man.
You're good.
We definitely let's see, make sure we have, what do we have time for? All right. So let's talk about like what you currently have going on. Like what's from everything that you've accomplished now in 2024, since we've been in this coaching program together, we've gotten to, watch each other grow, and, all the, like, we've accomplished a lot, man. The three of us over the course of just less than a year. And a lot of it's due to, the amazing coach that we have. And it's also, just like the level up of what to, the value that you bring, asking for what you're worth, the balance of like charging super high ticket and working with wealthy clients that you can get really great results for. So you've had an amazing 2024, so far off to a great start in 2025. Like what is 2025 look like? Like, I know you're launching your podcast very shortly here. We'll plug that when this episode airs too, so people can go check that out.
Nice.
And tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about what's next, and what your vision is for the next year or two.
Yeah. Better Humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, to me, it's like, that's the name of the show, but it's also like, it's weird. It's like, it's also the big idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not put on this earth to like stay stagnant or stay the same. A lot of people do. And it ends up being like, they don't die when they die. They died when they chose to stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an opportunity here to like go out and make better humans. And that's what we're doing with the podcast. Like that's the whole thing. So come on, like tell stories about how your life changed and you got better. Like when you went through a transformational journey and process, like, or like even sometimes I'll have like service providers on, or like I'll have authors and speakers and coaches and like all these different people come on and like just talk about what it means to like, not just for yourself to be a better human, but for you to go out and like change and impact the lives of others and like the benefit that you can bring. So it's really just like this like big, like push the discussion about change, impact, transformation, and all of that. That's 2025 for me, is blow this thing up. Obviously, I still have like the agency side of things that's gonna, I'm basically, you guys are gonna love this. So like Entrepreneurship SUCKS, right? I'm presented with this challenge right now where I've taken an offer because I can do so much stuff. Like imagine if you knew like all the stuff that Russell taught, plus had really cool tech skills, had like all the capabilities to do like literally any funnel that Russell's ever coined the term of. Now it's like, okay, well, like that's cool that you know how, but like what's the practical application here? So I had to choose and decide, like, you can do everything, but because you can do everything, that means you effectively do nothing for anybody else. So you have to decide, like, okay, what are you going to do? So you can go out to the marketplace and like advertise and market that like you do this thing. I chose course and community because I was like, okay, if I'm going to push the idea that like we're going to make better humans, we're going to amplify people's change and transformation, then like the course and the community are the two, like the mechanisms that we can use to really make that happen. So that's the offer kind of behind everything that we're doing with the podcast. Well, I decide that like course and community is the way to go. And so I start selling it, and I sell 3 of them like that for 10 times the price that I had been charging previously.
Let's go, Jim.
Insane, right? Like it just goes like that. So the challenge set before me on top of launching a podcast is now not selling more course and community, but scaling the size of the customer that I sell that course and community to, so, which increases the opportunity size, which increases like the revenue that they can make, but also increases the impact and the amplified change that they're going to be able to do. So that is the sucky challenge that I'm presented with now, which is like go play bigger. Play the same game, but play it way bigger. Like, go from T-ball to the majors.
Go pro, baby.
Yeah, time to go pro. What is it, Stephen Pressfield, right?
I don't know. I just heard Eileen Wilde say it a bunch.
I'm pretty sure that was what she was quoting was that book. Yeah,
Yeah,
by
no, I
Stephen
don't know the
Pressfield.
name of the book, though.
I mean, dude, Jimmy, you and I have talked about this behind the scenes, man. If anybody had more opportunities than you, I would be wildly surprised. So you have everything you need. All the circumstances are already aligned. You just have to step into Jimmy Savage.
Dude, I swear.
Oh, you like that?
I'm canceling
that's
Jimmy
called
Savage.
a callback.
I'm canceling it.
That's called the callback. Like, you like that setup and then the callback? Yeah.
I'm canceling Jimmy Savage, dude. It's over.
Dude,
Slaying Jimmy Savage. No.
And I just want to mention for anybody who's watching or listening, like when Jimmy says, you know, I'm able to charge now 10 times what I used to charge, and I'm like, let's go. Like, that doesn't come from a place of like, okay, Jimmy's making 10 times more money. No, I know that means that Jimmy's finally getting what he's worth, because the results have always been 10 times what he's been charging at least. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what matters, dude. Like, that's the reason why everybody I ever talked to has said amazing things about you. And that's why we all succeed and have had such a fast trajectory, right? Is like, you know, I'm not even going to work with a client unless I'm absolutely certain I can get them at least 2 to 4x what they're paying me. I may not say that. Anik would not like me saying that, and he's coming on the podcast next week. Because of all the shit he went through because of saying stuff like
right.
that. But yeah, man, that's what it's about, right? Like, having after over 100 clients with Joshua and I, like, and having a stellar track record of like every single one of them is left better than the way we found them. That's, you know, that's the impact. That's better humans.
That's the tagline.
What?
That right there. That's the tagline of the Better Humans podcast, because humans should be left better than we found them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Ooh.
You're literally doing it. You're leaving your clients better than you found them. Like,
absolutely.
That's the way you should be running your business. I just have a personal
perspective of like anybody I cross paths with beyond, or even honestly just passing in the street. Like, but anybody I cross paths with, like, I want to have an impact on. I want them to leave better, whether it's a day, a week, a minute. Like, I want to have a positive impact on people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it, dude.
That's better
you get
humans.
Did I just take over y'all's podcast?
That's fine, dude. We're going to be on yours soon, so I'll take over yours.
Oh, okay. All right. Deal.
Oh, man.
I do want to talk about that just a little bit more. Before we start wrapping up, a couple things. I know we got to hop over to the coaching call, but you know, the big idea for entrepreneurship sucks is kind of, you know, like Kevin talked about, like it, and you talked about, it doesn't have to suck. Does it suck? Yeah. Compared to what though? And it's all about our perspective on it. It sucks for, you know, seasons, and just like Tony talks about, there's seasons of business that it sucks, and sometimes that it doesn't suck. You know, the idea there is that it's over time it sucks less, you know, just like a believer. I know that, and this is what I wanted to tie into, dude, I'll just say it like this. You demonstrate the fruits of the Holy Spirit very well. And you walk with the character of Christ, and not to go religious or spiritual, but, you know, that's what we believe. And so I just want to say, like, you emulate the biblical principles of like how to lead, like Kevin was mentioning earlier, a servant leader is very obvious in the way that you conduct yourself. And so I just wanted to personally recognize, like, and say great job on how you conduct yourselves in this world while still maintaining your principles of faith. And I gotta say, you know, I imagine that's one reason why you're so blessed. You're definitely super obedient to the scripture and to what it calls us to do. Hebrews is open over here, and I'm reading it, and it's about, a lot of it is about, right, you know, respect, especially in like chapter 6, is about respect and out honoring one another, and in how as Christians, respect of the world, respect is earned, but as believers, respect is something that we are called to give to somebody, and honor is something that we're called to give somebody, even if it's our worst enemy, because that's what Christ would do.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and I'm not, you can add on to this what you feel about, your personal spiritual faith journey, but I just wanted to commend you on that from one brother to another. Like it's encouraging to watch you do what you do and how you operate just as a human.
Thanks.
Comment necessary. Yeah, you're welcome, man. But no comment necessary. I just wanted to say thanks for that.
Well, if you're picking that up, then I must be doing the right thing here, because that's definitely that's the goal, like to get to the end, and for Christ and his Father to say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And like it's funny because like you only see like a sliver of my life, but I'm glad that like the sliver of life that I do present out to people is like that is like abundantly clear. That doesn't mean that like I'm like hiding anything. That sounds like I'm like hiding something, right?
It's like, well, no, I'm glad that's what you see.
Yeah, no, for real. No, I'm just like I'll also level for anybody listening. Like, hey, like I struggle in my marriage. Like we're working on so much stuff. We want to be together. We want to get better. We want to be a good husband, good wife. Like we want those things for each other. But like the whole iron sharpens iron thing, you didn't show up as a shiny steel blade. Like it it takes work. So I'm working on a ton of stuff like that. Like doing my best to like work on myself as a husband, work on myself as a father. So that means that like there's areas in my life where I'm not doing so hot, you know? So just as encouragement to anybody else out there, that like you're going to have facets of your life where you're not doing hot, and like that's okay. Own that you're not doing so well, and like work, like pray and like work with God, or like work with the other men around you, because God can work through other fellow believers. But yeah, that's what I would encourage anybody who's like, well, look at this guy, he's just got it all figured out, doesn't he? Nope. Just as clueless as you, promise you.
I think if you had it all figured out, you would have been called home. So that's what we're here for. Well,
yeah, bingo.
So love it, man. Well, Jimmy, dude, it's been great. We're about to switch calls and hang out some more anyway, so it's not like we're going anywhere. But for the listeners, we'll connect you with Jimmy's social and stuff, in the bio and all that. But I guess that's all for now. I guess we wrap it up. Let's do a part 2, man. We're not going anywhere in each other's lives, so we'll recap maybe in a few months and see where things are.
Yeah, see if Jimmy ever scales that customer. Yeah, I'm gonna.
I think he's about to, man.
Yeah, he's close.
It's already yours, like you said.
Love it. Well, cool.
All right, everybody.
Man, well,
till next time.
Till next time. See you on the call, Jimmy.
All right.